Hello everyone, welcome to the Zentangle Project Pack series. This lesson is part of Project Pack number 17. My name is Molly and I have my lovely sister Martha here to help me with this awesome lesson. We are already on the third lesson in this series. If you haven't caught on yet, we're doing some kaleidoscoping fun, but I think you probably have. Just a couple of things here. We recommend watching the Project Pack number 17 introduction video prior to this particular video. The videos in this particular series are sequential, so we recommend watching them in order. So we're on the third lesson. You would have wanted to do the first and second lessons before this video. If you don't have the Project Pack materials, in our introduction video is a really great way for you to follow along with sort of alternative materials, and that'll all make sense once you watch that. So hopefully you're joining us regardless with all kinds of stuff. Maybe you have these really cool 3Z tiles, and maybe you have just a surface with a cool string that you're working on. And as you probably know, if you've already watched the other two videos, you really just want to fill in your spaces with whatever it is we're doing on our 3Z tiles. So I'm ready to go. I hope you guys are ready to go. I have my materials right here, my Project Pack 17 stuff. I've already taken my tools out. I'm going to be using most of the tools that I had in my envelope, so I have those all out. The 3 different pens, 2 pastel pencils, and a graphite pencil with the tortillons corresponding to the pencils. So I have all that stuff ready to go. And then as you will know from the previous days, you had your 3 stacks of pre-strung 3Z tiles or your alternative paper that you're working on, whichever one works. Today I'm going to work on my last set, and I've chosen this string to work on. So you probably have 1 set of pre-strung tiles left. So those are the ones you should have in front of you. And to get started, we'll just be working on 1 tile. So I'll take that 1 tile and put the rest kind of aside. So just have my 1 3Z tile in front of me, all of my tools, and I think I need a deep breath. So that leads me to the first step in the Zentangle Method, which we always like to begin with, and that's gratitude and appreciation. So once you have all your tools in a good space, I invite you to get your body comfortable. So maybe that means adjusting your chair or your floor or whatever you have with you. And once you're comfortable, I invite you to either gently close your eyes or maybe just find a focal point and give yourself a moment for gratitude. Gratitude for the time, the opportunity, the anything, whatever it is in your world you are feeling grateful for in this very, very moment. It's amazing how much strength and perspective we gain from deliberately thinking about the things we're grateful for. Remember the breath that you have, and remember the power it has to both energize and calm and inspire. Give yourself another breath or 2. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes or bring your focus back to your drawing surface. And like I said, I've got this string here I'm going to be working on, but there's all the other strings that you could potentially be working on. It could be this one, it could be this one, it could be this one. We have all these other strings. So the last pile of tiles you had left might be different than the one that I had left, and that's totally fine. And I think that I'm going to be able to show you what we're doing. And explain it all out, no matter what tile you're working on. So I have this one, this is the funkiest string I think we have, and so that's why I chose it. I wanted to be able to kind of invite people to know that you can really follow along with any of these strings. And I'm going to start with a tangle called Well, Well, Who. It's a well tangulation. And I'm just going to be using it as a fragment pretty much. So it's almost like a fragment of well who. And I think for this, if you have this same string and you're working on it, I'm going to work on this one space that's a little bit more simple. If you have one of these other tiles, a lot of them have spaces that are pretty straightforward. If you have some of the other ones, I'm going to show you in a minute how you can start this tangle. So maybe just watch me for a minute, and then I'll show you the first steps on some of the other strings. So I'm starting with my black 01 pen here. And again, that's my black Micron 01. And I'm starting on this space that looks kind of like a diamond here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw a line right from that point, dividing my space in half. And you would be doing that on any of the spaces you're working on. So if your space is a little bit different, you're still going to be drawing a line from the tippity top point in the center down to the point here. And I'll show you in a second how that looks on some of the other strings. And then I'm going to draw a orb right in the corner here. And another orb in the corner over here. And then I'm going to do a simple inner aura and fill it in. Inner aura and fill it in. So I have prepared this on two of the tiles that I thought would be a little different. If you have this string you're working on, your division line would go right to the middle here, divide it in half, and then you'd have two orbs like that. And then the other one that's a little bit different that might stump you is this one. So again, divide it in half and have your two orbs like so. And I'll show you how you do the next step on those ones as well. I believe that all of the other ones are diamond shapes, so you should be able to follow along. So my next step is I'm going to go from this top point and I'm going to travel along the string line and I'm going to hook around this orb, sort of like you would in a tangle like Huggins or Cadent. I'm going to start from the point and then hook around it. You might fall off the edge a little bit, but don't worry about it. And then down, and as if you're hooking that around. Now, if you have this tile, this one's a little bit different because we're actually going to cut off a part of that string. So it's a little bit different. You're not following the string line, you're kind of cutting it off. So it looks something like that. And then the other funky one, just so you guys don't, it's a little more straightforward. Goes, and this is almost like a T, but I'm going to do it from the center anyway, even though you could do it in one stroke, something like that. And like I said, the other strings, I think you should be able to follow along. They're all kind of like these diamond shapes. Even if they're a little wonky, you still have this center point, then following along. All right, next step. We're going to, again, sort of follow like as if you were doing Huggins. You're going to take off and land from this orb and then the same gradually land on this center line to the bottom. So let's try this side first. And again, watch before you follow along. So I want to allow a little bit of time to almost like landing a plane here. And this one goes the opposite around that orb. And again, we'll meet. So I'm going in, meeting on the line, tracing over to the bottom. A beautiful little shape there. Now I'm going to show you on those other two shapes, just so you know. So this one is kind of the same as that last one, but we'll do it anyway, just so you can see how we do it. Again, you're tracing over that orb a little bit and landing here, tracing over this orb and landing here. And there we go. It's like this gradual landing. Subtle, but it really adds to the design there. And then in this one, same thing. So this is, I'm just sampling out some of these different ones. You obviously only have one to worry about. So just focus on the one you have. So back to the original one I'm working on. So I have this fun little shape. It's kind of this diamond shape with a little bit of interest. We have these orbs. So I'm going to add a detail here. It's sort of like a little crescent moony where I'm going to add that ladybug shape to the inside of that line. Put a nice little aura there. And we'll mirror that on the other side. You don't have to exactly match up. I don't worry about that because I think it adds a little interest if it's not quite perfect. And then one aura in the black. All right, I'm going to cap my black pen now. And I'm going to grab my lightest gray pen. If you grab the other one, that's okay too, as long as you're consistent. And I'm going to do some detail work with this gray pen. And what I want to do with this is I'm going to create a series of auras that carry all the way up into this space. And I'm going to use this original line we did that's curved right here as sort of the line I want to aura. So aura it like so. And then continue all the way up. With a nice, the curve really is going to add to this. So you want to have that subtle curve. It gives it a little bit of dimension. And then do the same on the other side. Aura. And they don't have to match up perfectly. Don't worry about that. Almost makes it look like a folded piece of paper or something. It's rising above a little bit. So cool. I love that detail. I love these gray pens. It's like a subtle way to add dimension. Now I'm going to go in this white space here, and I am going to add some radiating lines coming off in the other direction. All of these are subtle lines can be altered to change. So if you like look at this and you're like, I love what she's doing, but I might try it this way. So look closely at these lines. I'm doing a double line. I'm doing it twice to make the line a little fatter. But you could do a thin one and see what happens. Nice, really radiating lines coming off that crescent moon type thing. And just for fun, I'm double weighting this just to see what can happen. I love this light gray because it looks like pencil, yet when you shade on top of it, it sticks, so you can get this layering effect. Very fun. All right. So that's our fragment right there. That's our well who fragment. I actually am just like so excited about it. It's really fun. All right, and then if you wanted to see how it would look on those other strings that we had talked about earlier, as you can see, here's that kind of funky shape we had, and I did the same thing. I auraed with the light gray up the same way, radiating lines here. I just added a little detail in that leftover space, and that's going to give you an overall different look. So if you have this space, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll see these little spaces, these triangular spaces that are left over, and you can do whatever you want in those spaces. Just repeat whatever you do. I did these really simple radiating lines, so that is an option. And then on this tinier space that some of you might be working on, it's a little bit simpler, but again, it's going to add to your overall composition when we add the other tangles. But this is a fairly straightforward aura, the same way we did the one I was working on, and then radiating lines underneath. So a couple of different approaches. So here's our who. I think we should add a little shading to it. And I'm going to just start with my graphite pencil. And I'm gonna go pretty heavy-handed right near the edge using the point of my pencil. And then another line right near the center here. And then again on the other edge. Nice and careful, using that point as a guide. Then take my corresponding tortillon and just nice and gently, again using the point of the tortillon as a guide, just kind of inviting that graphite into the paper. You want to leave that white space in the middle. That's your highlight there. So be careful to just work the edges. Like so. Nice highlight. That is gorgeous. And I think I'm just going to leave this top part with the graphite, adding no color, just to sort of bring contrast to the fragment. I have a reddish pencil here. I think I have, it's called Scarlet, but pick up one of your colors, choose one, and I'm going to put a heavy bit of this pastel pencil on the outer edge of this aura over here. Just a nice stripe. I'm going down pretty heavy-handed with that. Do that on both sides. Just nice and carefully right up to the edge of that aura. And again, I'm putting it down pretty heavy. I grab my tortillon that I've been using for the red color, and I'm going to carefully invite that pastel pencil down into that space. But I want to keep that sort of effect where it's redder towards the top edge. Just nice circular motion. Get a little bit of a fade. It's pretty cool. And you can go ahead and do that the same way you would on the other ones that we were talking about. So it's pretty straightforward. And you can choose whatever color it is you want. Like you don't have to use the red because I use red. If you want to add color to this top part, go for it. I'm sort of just experimenting with how the black and shades of gray looks on the top and then this red peeking from underneath. So we'll see how that goes. So this is our well who fragment, which is super fun. I'm gonna turn my tile here so that my well who is on the left. So if you guys want to do that with whatever tile it is you have, sort of arrange it so your well who is on the left. And then I'm gonna start filling this right space right here with a new tangle. So I am going to start doing a little bit of flux. Flux is a great organic tangle. It's going to sort of bring some contrast to this well who, and it's a little more wild. So I think this will be a good complement to that one over there. So flux is sort of these leaf-like shapes. And I'm working on this funky tile, so my shape is a little bit funky here, but yours might be a little more straightforward. But you know where you're working in your corner space. So just make sure you sort of recognize the space you're working in so you don't get too lost. My space has this additional string line I'm going to completely ignore. So just ignore. And I'm going to start from the corner here. And it's sort of this leaf-like teardrop shape. And we're going to do some kind of like sort of wild growing flux. So sometimes we do it on a line. This one's going to be kind of wild. And I'm going to try to fill the spaces as we go. So you're constantly kind of going, creating these teardrop spaces. They can vary in size. You maybe want to ink in the little spaces between. Don't hesitate to sort of what we call redefine the line. It shapes, reshapes, sort of sculpts the lines you have. I do it constantly. Just just a way of going over a line you've already drawn to either emphasize it or sculpt it or sort of add a little love, shall we say. But it sort of makes it feel more finished, or maybe takes a few strokes to get the line you wanted. All right, so that fits into that space quite nicely. They're all nestled together there. Maybe go in and ink in some of these little areas. Feels so quick too. It's a great tangle. Just kind of get a whole space covered in a short amount of time. And then I'm gonna use this light gray. I keep coming back to it because I'm sort of really enjoying it. And I'm gonna put a little, just like a spine in, or a vein, I don't know what you wanna call it, in each one of these petals. Oh, I love that. That's gonna be like very floral. I'm enjoying that. So that was quick. Your space might be a little bigger, might fill a little differently. And just feel free to vary the shapes of those leaves and let them kind of flow and grow in kind of wild spaces. So don't be afraid to explore how that can go. And if you go over this edge line a little bit, that might be kind of exciting. Just don't go too crazy, because you want to sort of keep this shape, but a little bit over the edge adds a little nice energy. And I am going to add just a little bit of color to this one. And this time I have this purplish color I'm going to be playing with. So I'm going to just play with adding purple right to the bottom of these leaf shapes. I'm going to see what happens with that. Nice deep bit. Almost like in the kaleidoscope, these little bits of glass just, or pigments just dropping in the bottom here. And then I'll take my tortillon I've been using for this color and just invite it into the paper ever so gently. I like the idea of keeping some of the white space, so this sort of interest of light coming through with these cool pigment. Just taking your time. You know, when we do these project packs, these are on videos, and that means you can do these at your own pace. So don't feel like you have to get it all done in one session. This is your work, your time, your space. So please, please enjoy them at your own pace. Don't feel like you need to rush through them. All right. Oh, that's really pretty. Excited about that. Awesome. So that's my flux here, and I think that's pretty fun. So I'm going to hand this tile off to my sister to show you one more cool tangle to finish off the corners on this one tile. So here you go, Martha.
Thank you, Molly. This is a beautiful tile so far, and I'm excited to collaborate with you and add a little something to it. These tangles look so good, so interesting how they can morph and adapt to any string that's in front of them. I am going to fill in this last corner here with a tangle called Ravel. I'm going to start by just putting down an initial stem like this, and then these beautiful aura lines grow from tip to bottom to create like a pod or a leaf. And then I'm going to change my direction a little bit and have another one grow here right into this one. Again, just tip to bottom, and where they hit the pod that's already there, you can see these lines will fall behind. and already giving it sort of a layered effect. And there's no rhyme or reason really where you want to put these little pods, and you'll notice that I'm purposely making my lines a little curved, not perfectly straight. Maybe one's growing over here, and of course I'm having to adapt to the space I have to work in. Turning my tile and adding more pods as I go. Stretching. Sometimes retracing some lines that I've already drawn and reinforcing that tip as well. Going outside of my space a tiny bit. These smaller spaces are challenging sometimes, but it makes you think about things a little bit. How lines are there, but they're just behind and you can't see where they begin. So I'm actually going to stop right now. I'm happy with how that looks. And you'll notice there's some spaces left. I'm going to put down my pen, my black pen. I'm going to pick up this light gray 01 pen and use that to fill in my little interstices, those little spaces left behind. We often use black, of course, to fill that in, but I kind of like the variation, the gradation, I guess you can say. Just filling in those background spaces. Adding another layer. Remember, even if this seems, if your space, or even if you filled in the same one that I did, if it seems incomplete, remember it's part of a whole. Six of these corners that are going to be kind of playing together. So it's part of a whole. I'm going to also just with this pen retrace that edge. I'm going to really define the edge and maybe round it out where my little ravel sticks out there. I want this space to really be defined when I have them all put together. I'm going to add just a little bit of color here, and I'm going to pick up that violet pen that Molly used on the Flux, and just add some color to where the tips of these little pods are. Could be the center here, but also the little tips. Just a little bit of color. I love the way the violet pencil and the black and gray work together. And then with my tortillon for my violet pencil, I'm just going to gently smooth those corners and edges. Or I'm leaving that white space that we've been talking about, kind of allowing for the purple to have its moment. There. It's a lovely little composition, I think. And I think I'm going to hand it back to Molly, and she's been working on finishing all the corners of all 6 triangle tiles, and we will put them all together.
Hey Martha, why don't we take a look at how these all look together? We
Yeah.
have all 6 of our tiles here, which is
We've been busy
I
getting these finished up.
know.
I hope you guys have been busy too.
It's kind of fun like chipping away at them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, these look amazing. This is so fun.
This fragment right here is the coolest one, I think.
And then it's fun to start seeing like what happens when you
Oh, like every other one.
every other one.
Yeah.
You start like something cool. And then let's see here, see what all of those fluxes.
Fluxi?
Fluxi. Yeah, it would be fluxi, I think. Oh yeah.
I love that violet pencil
Ooh,
with
so
the black.
Fun.
And this interesting,
And then maybe moving just now putting in the ravel. That's pretty neat. Oh yeah. Oh, I like that. That's fun. This string's kind of fun too because it's a little whimsical.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Well, let's just see the ravel then
Yeah,
too.
you have to test them all out, right?
Right. Oh, it's so pretty.
And I'm sure yours look a little different and awesome as well. Very cool. All right, and for you folks that are working on the bigger piece, the alternative process here, we have ours on an opus tile. You might have it on just a big sheet of paper, but it's getting filled in there.
Coming together.
Yeah, it's really getting there. So, so much fun.
Well, such a cool system because it really is adaptable to any of these 3-sided areas,
Yeah. So we're excited to start chipping away at the centers of all those 3Z tiles and then finish filling in all these. So we have a couple more days of kaleidoscoping fun, and we'll hand you off to Rick and Maria to get this finished up.
All right, we'll see you guys very soon.
All right, thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.